Hello, everybody. This is Sam with Greater Seattle Korean Association, and welcome to Candidate Corner. Candidate Corner is as you know, our interviews with current electeds and candidates all across Puget Sound, Kings, Snohomish, and Pierce County. And today, we're very, very pleased and excited to have Linh Thai. Welcome,
Thank
Representative
you.
Linh. So, as you know, Representative Linh Thai is currently our state representative for District 41, and she's also the
Majority leader.
deputy majority leader of the House. So, before we let May just share some of her thoughts, again, this is not an endorsement, but Candidates Corner is just so that you can get to know the candidates on a personal level too, to help you ultimately be a more informed voter. So, um, Representative Tai, perhaps you could just tell us more about your background, like personally, professionally. Yeah.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to say hello to the Korean American community. As introduced, my name is Linh Thai. I have been serving as a state representative in the last 7 years. It absolutely has been an honor. And to the question, professionally, I'm a trained pharmacist.
Mm.
I graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in pharmacy and using that knowledge really to serve our community so that they can understand how to take good care of themselves. Um, Personally, I am a refugee from Vietnam. My family and I came to Washington State in 1983 as refugee from Vietnam, and I am currently the first refugee elected to serve in Washington State Legislature. Currently, I live in South Bellevue with my family. We have two children. They both graduated college and looking for ways to contribute to the community and the public that has been provide so much support and embracing in their educations.
Thank you so much, Representative Tai. I'll just ask you a few questions. And first of all, we're very proud of you to be our first refugee represented in the House. Um, so on that note, the first question is, as a first refugee elected to Washington State Legislature, how has your lived experience shaped your priorities? And how do you plan to continue advocating for immigrant and AANH PI communities in our new term? Now, just to be clarify, Representative Tai is not currently running this year. However, we thought it would be great for her to just share her thoughts. So yes, yeah.
Thank you, Sam. So yes, as somebody who experienced what it was like to be a refugee in our country, it has shaped my perspective when I'm serving in this capacity. I guess first and foremost, just like many of us coming to this place, either in the under being a refugee or an immigrant, it's it's a new place. It it's a new home. It's a new culture. Is everything is very much new, and to establish a home, starting to build roots, has been both. Exciting and challenging. So my work in policy really in three areas. The first areas is around understanding, knowing our stories. Because as an Asian woman, I am taught and learned that when we know our roots, understand who our ancestors were, and how we are going to build the next generations, and being that bridge has been something that I that I deeply valued. And so my number one priority is to ensure supporting community across our state, regardless, so that they can preserve their heritage and share their culture. Because I believe when we know our story through preservations of our heritage and through sharing our culture, we build the bridge of understanding. That way, we can work toward the kind of community that is more through the lens of kindness, understanding, and compassion. The second piece is around ensuring people not only staying in the space of surviving when they're building their new home, but thriving. Because when we are thriving, we all benefit. There's no reason for a few of us become very successful while a lot of us struggling in the space of surviving. So I believe that when we get from the space of surviving to thriving, so more concretely, as a refugee who came to this state without a word of English, I get to graduate from University of Washington as a pharmacist and now standing in front of you as a state representative. That is what I want to see across our refugee and immigrant communities. We get to thrive. We get to be in a space where contribution isn't just paying tax. Contribution isn't just being a law abiding citizen. Those are important. Don't get me wrong, those are important. But each one of us has so much more potential of contributing to the land, to the home that we together build. And really, lastly, is about being an example, being a I wouldn't call myself a role model per se, but an example, an image, so that our next generation can see the possibility. Because when they see the people that look like them being in the space of power, they get to be inspired, being somebody more than just them, but being somebody who get to lead and share their knowledge, not only with their community, with the state, within our nation, but the world. And so those are the three areas that I focus on as a state representative with the experience of being a refugee in this country.
That was so amazing. Thank you, Representative Tai, and very inspiring. So next, Korean Americans and other AA and HPI groups in Washington are deeply invested in education, small business, and civic engagement. But I would say probably more so maybe business oriented. And I do feel like we do feel like there could be more done in terms of civic engagement. And so what specific policies or initiatives do you have or maybe thinking about that can champion more civic engagement among our AA and HPI and communities of color? And then is there a lot more that can be done? Yeah,
Yes, yes. Oh, that is a very important question.
yeah.
I agree. I think the very basic foundation to everything is truly education, and I truly believe that public education is really the most important part of level the playing field. Um, Public education is not only providing space for the true and basic civic engagement at a young age. I don't know about you, but I remember when I was participating as a PTA mom, I want to make sure that my children get to have conversation with their friends about things like where are you coming from? How is your parents doing? Do you get the support from home? Do you get the support from your community? How do you celebrate Mid Autumn Festival? And I believe in Korean you call them chuseok. Um, and in many other countries, we do that. It's an important harvesting seasons, and when the young people coming together and share their experience, I believe that is the very first civic engagement that we create space for them. Next is really within community. And when I shared with you earlier about my very first and important part of the work is to create space for sharing culture. Because when we share culture, that is a second level of civic engagement. We have conversation that build relationship. And through building relationship, we build understanding, and through that, we practice what I would call active listening. Active listening is simply listen to understand, not listen to argue, which led to the very last piece of what we heard a lot through political environment of civic engagement. And in civic engagement, when we talk about politics, a lot of time we listened in order to argue, in order to debate. But can we imagine the other possibility that we actually listen so that we can hear the other person ideas, visions, what's possible so that we can all thrive together. And so to me, that is the initiative I want to build from the very grassroots, from the very young age of our next generations, and then my colleague, my age group of what we can fairly call middle age American Asian American, to the place where when we actually talk about politics, some of the difficult conversation, including how do governments see small businesses, especially small businesses from immigrant community, from refugee community, because that is the first step for us to build our wealth in our second home. So enable to see that, enable to understand the struggle of our ANHBI community through small business practice, government need to have that capacity to listen, to understand, not simply arguing their way so that they can get whatever right they want without understanding the difficulties of some of our immigrants community through business practice. And so I believe that is how I see the ability for us to come together, even though we can speak different languages, potentially practice very different cultural and certainly different religious belief. But when we sit at the table, have conversation, or so we call civic engagement, we do that with the heart and the ear and the mind of understanding.
Thank you, Representative Tai. That was very inspiring. Um, I had a third question planned for you, fourth question rather. But I was thinking maybe if you, let's say that there's a new young person or next generation leadership who's maybe in the AANHPI realm and communities of color, and can you give that person maybe some encouragement as to why they should be involved in their community and also why it's important to vote?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. If you are a young person out there and you hear this, first, you have the power to create the future that you believe in. So if you dream to be a scientist, the power of create the environment for you to be a scientist in the future of your dream and your vision is to engage with policy. I can share with you, once again, as a refugee who's still learning the language at the time, learning the system at the time, trying to get an education and a profession so that I could not only supporting myself but supporting my family. I believe that was all I should do. And when I practice medicine, pharmacy, I realized that there's a whole load of rules being set by somebody that I have no idea who they are. And I was like, they don't know, like my everyday work as a pharmacist. They don't know how I communicate with physicians. They don't know how I communicate with patients. They don't know how I communicate with insurance. Um, Yet, they get to set rules that regulate how I, as a professional, see myself in my work. Um, I vote because I came from a nation that I did not have that right. And so I believe that that right was somebody who fought really hard for me to have. And so I vote then regularly because I believe that is such an important right to have. But as a professional, I now have an additional view to it. Because when I vote, and not just vote, I seek to meet the candidate who running for these positions. One, to understand why they run and why they want to be in the place of setting policies, and two, to educate them. And I want to use the word to educate them, not just help them understand what you do, not just helping them understand the vision of your future, but to educate them, to get them to know where you want to go, what the future is possible for you yourself, and see if there's an alignment. Because let's face it, the people who in the seat, who in office, who being elected, they are generalists. They are not specialists. They cannot know what's important to an engineer, nor do they know what's important to an architect. And last, would they know what's important to a physician? More importantly, they wouldn't even know what's important to you because you are an individual, special to yourself. And so be that educator to educate people who run for office. And more importantly, once they are elected, seek to have conversation with them, get them to see your point of view, then vote, and continue that work. Be in the space of power because you have the power of change the future that is possible not only for you but the people you love.
Thank you so much, Representative Tai, for your inspiring words and for our community. Lastly, do you have like a website, or how can people learn more, new aspiring leaders, more about not only just your policies, but how they can get more involved? Are there resources in your website? Maybe could you share? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So you can reach out to me either through an official website, and when you search, you can search my name as simple as that. Linh Thai is spelled MY space LINH space THAI. And through that search, you can find one that is under the House Democratic representative. That would be my official website. And then as a candidate, I also have a website and trying to update it as regular as I can, even in my up cycle of election. And it's www milinthai.com. I hope that we can make the connections and get engaged. And really, my job is to listen to you. And I believe that I'm not somebody who's simply preaching, but I really want to act upon everything that I just share with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So again, everyone, this is State Representative Linh Thai, Legislative District 41. And she is and we're very proud of her because she is our first refugee, State House representative. So shall we give a shout out to Korean community?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
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 Bye.